This is the first time I'm doing this in 45 minutes. So we're going to see how it goes. We're going to have extremely tight time constraints and you're going to hate me. I'm okay with it, okay? Yes. But we're going to call this modeling process. Okay, so here's your design challenge. How might we improve the morning routine of getting to work? Okay? So your first step is I'd like for all of you individually, you have 3 minutes to draw your best idea. Ready? Go. How might we improve the getting to work experience? Oh yeah, don't think too hard. Remember, build to think, just draw. Everybody have something down? I'm going to wind you down. Okay, see? Everything's going to be really fast for the next 45 minutes. Okay, now I'm going to break you into groups.
How much time would you really get on this?
We actually probably wouldn't do this. I want to do this to show you the before state and the after state.
Well, you must get some time to think about the problem.
Projects tend to be 3 to 6 months, depending on the type of challenge it is, sometimes faster. Okay, so we're going to break into 8 groups, so I'd like to count off 1 through 8. Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4,
5, 6,
7, 8,
3,
4, 5,
6, 7,
8, 1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
Great. Did everybody get in?
No, I didn't.
Didn't?
2.
2, 3. Okay. Now all of you are going to get people to interview. So these are your users. So users, will you please come to the front? Kim's outside. We've got Kim, Barbara, Jess, Allison, Lindsay, Caroline, and Jill. Come to the front, please. And Susan. Thank you. These are your users of the morning of getting to the work experience. Okay, so what you're going to do is, you are going to start with empathy, right? So you're going to interview your user about their morning rituals. I'm going to give you some little advice. Instead of saying, tell me exactly what you do in the morning and writing that down, ask for some stories, right? Tell me about when everything went really smoothly in the morning. How about something where like a specific story where everything went kind of awry? Just try that. Okay, so let's count off. Jill, 1,
2, 3, 4.
Oh, sorry, that was weird. Okay.
7, 8.
Thank you. Okay, can everybody find their groups? You have 5 minutes to interview your user.
3, 2, 2, 4. 2, 2. So let's just pull some.
So, on a day that you would get to work and you would be feeling good when you came in and you would check her in.
I think of that is often or so I
Okay, your interview is done because we need to keep moving. And I'm sure you want to get to the rest of activities that you have today. So we're going to run through this. Okay, group over here. Huh. Thank you.
Please forgive us.
Teachers. Teachers are the worst. Okay. And now your users, you can head back to the sides of the room. We will be calling you again. Thank you. Did everybody pay them for their time? We like to respect people. Okay, so I'm going to do a really big cheat for the next step. This isn't what we would normally do, but I'm going to do a cheat. And I'd like for every group to have a seat. Stay with your group. What's that? I know, thanks, but I went way long. Okay, the next step I'm going to ask you to do is to reflect individually. Just think for a moment about what you heard. I'm going to give you a framework in case this helps. Because I want to do this really fast, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes. And I would just like for you to think about what you heard. So think about your user. What's their name? They need a better way to something. They have a need, right? They have a need or they have a goal in the morning. And then you learn something surprising about them. So what we're trying to get here is what you find that's surprising. So take a moment and draft a few of these. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes, and then I'll ask you to come back together as a group. But just for a minute, individually, write stuff down. If you find this a little hard, don't worry. You can just start to kind of capture some of the things that you heard, right? That's a great way to start going about it, to identify what those needs even are. Okay, so I'm going to move to the next step. So this was a cheat shortcut. Next step is to, as a group, come together and share some of these stories. So what did you hear, right? What was that frame? And I'd like for you to turn those insights into what I would call an opportunity. So an option is to frame this as a question that starts with how might we. Tends to be a very generative thing, so I'll give you an example. So I have a really hard time in the morning waking up. I have 3 alarm clocks, and I tend to turn them all off in my sleep. So Sandy needs a better way to wake up in the morning because she tends to turn off things in her sleep, right? So how can we turn that into a question that's generative? How might we create solutions to wake up deep sleepers, right? So you see how I turned that into a question, and you can already start to imagine solutions. So what I'd like you to do is for the next 5 or so minutes, as your group, share some of the insights that you learned in interviewing your user and generate a few of these questions. How might we something? Make sense? Okay, go.
We all decided we want to work for him. He was great.
I fought it. And so there is a limit that is storage place that you can put your stuff right there. Okay, so
Okay, I'm going to cut you off again. Does any group have a how might we they want to share? Does anybody have? You want to share one? Okay, great.
Kim has a difficult time commuting because she has 5 stops she has to make from leaving her house until getting to her place of work. And she has the anxiety of constantly missing one of those and then throwing the whole routine off and thus ending up late. But we did find out in conversation that it's soothing for her to pet her cat and take a shower before she leaves. So we had a couple different thoughts. Pods that were set up actually in each one of the different.
I'm going to pause you. What's the design challenge?
How might we alleviate Kim's anxiety?
Oh, cool. Okay. Anybody else have a design challenge they want to share? I don't want solutions yet. Did you have one?
Well, I don't know if we
Just the how
all-
might we. Let's hear it.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
how might we get back the 5 phantom minutes? Or there's she likes to get up about 20 minutes before she goes.
Uh-huh.
And then by the time it's time to be outdoors, it's like, oh my God, where's that 5? I'm
Oh,
like,
cool. So how do we capture the phantom minutes? That's
or
a
how do
very
we
cool.
get that time for
Yeah. So I'd like for each of you, each group, to choose a design challenge to work with. And I'm going to make a suggestion, because we're not going to hear all of them, but I'm going to make a suggestion to choose one that doesn't include the answer in the question, right? So sometimes I'm going to use you as an example, okay? How might we build a carrier for a cat to be in the car? Do you see how that has the answer in the question? The answer is a carrier for the cat, right? So I want you to take one that's one level up from that, right? So how might we get back those 5 phantom minutes, right? That kind of, what was your how might we? Do you remember? Did you make it up? Reduce the anxiety. Great. See, that's the level I want you to choose right now. So take a look at your list, because what's the next step? Does anybody remember? We got inspired. We come up with a bunch of ideas. And we're not going to do analogous today because we don't have time. We're going to come up with a bunch of ideas.
Oh, ideas.
It's called brainstorming, right? So Ellen talked about this yesterday. Shh, thank you. I'm going to give you some tips first. Because did you notice when I was talking about IDEO that we seem like a pretty open, fluid, kind of crazy culture, right? It's kind of true. But we do have rules for one thing, brainstorming. Now this may be the opposite of what you think. People tend to think of brainstorming as like this crazy moment that's really unbounded. Actually, and as Ellen talked about this yesterday, right? You actually have to put some boundaries on creativity. So here are the rules of brainstorming. Defer judgment. No idea is a bad idea. In fact, no idea is a great idea, right? Judgment goes both ways. So when someone's throwing out an idea, if you go, yes, everybody else is going to be like, how do I say that in a different way, right? And if you say something like, that's kind of, right? Is that person going to talk again? No. So defer judgment, encourage wild ideas, right? So this is if you go really far out, it's easier to come back than to move your way incrementally, right? So wild ideas in a brainstorm. Build on the ideas of others. This is not a time for possessiveness. Brainstorming is a time where we kind of come together and we're a group mind, right? Stay focused on the topic. Some cultures tend to like want to stay focused. Okay, so one conversation at a time, be visual, go for quantity. You have, what did I say? 8 minutes to brainstorm and go.
That sort of thing.
Invent this. We have here what are called hour cars, and the whole idea is they keep them at a local kind of spot, like there's one at the YMCA. Yeah, so one from home to her work, but then it goes into the local spot where somebody else is going to pick that one up.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's a key.
Time. I need a really loud or really quiet noise. Okay. Did I tell you guys that I used to teach 5th graders? And then I would do things like this. Thank you. My 5th grade techniques. Okay. Well, anybody want to share some wild ideas? Wild. I want the wildest one you got.
We want lockers and gyms on subway cars, so there's like a subway car gym, like a gym way.
A gym way. Okay, another wild idea.
We want to adjust the entire workday so that people can stay home and communicate with each other audio-visually without...
Love it. Love it. Okay, one more wild idea. One more. Different group.
We want cell phone alerts sent via text message, giving people an advance warning of their commute time so we can plan whether you need to leave 30 minutes before or 45 minutes.
Okay, thank you. You are welcome to leverage, right? We build on the ideas of others. Rule number 3, thank you. And what I'm going to allow you guys to do right now is to learn more. Remember I mentioned this is a process of learning? So I want you to share a few of your top ideas with your user and get some feedback. And you'll have like, I say 5 minutes, but it's less. You'll have like 3. So get some feedback from your user. Now, look at the notes here. Don't try to convince your user.
So if you didn't have that as exercise, would that be bothersome?
Didn't really talk to you about the route. One of the ideas that you came up with that you might segue, take a bubble,
Time. Time's up. Users, help me. Time's up. I know, this is the like, people try to convince you thing, right? So how many groups actually got to hear feedback? So, in learning more, you want to spend more time listening than talking, right? A lot of times, and this is human nature, right? You create something, you're really proud of it, even if it's just an idea that you brainstormed, and you kind of want to convince somebody of it. I want you to spend the next minute hearing what that person thinks about it, right? And letting go of the possessiveness of your idea and learning about what they think about it. Okay? I'll give you 1 more minute. Okay, ready? Shh. Thank you. I know you want to keep talking. I get it. But I want you to do 1 more step. Before you I'm going to give you another chance to learn more from your user, okay? What's the next step? Anybody want to guess?
Better on some ideas.
Playing with somebody to make them prototypes, tangible, right? So now you're going to have 10 minutes to actually make a tangible form of one of your ideas or pull a few of them together if you feel like you want to. Totally fine. Total freedom, okay? So there are supplies over here. Yes. Oh, okay. Supplies over there. You were waving. Okay. Supplies over there. There's also supplies in these closets. I like to think, now this is the opposite of what Ellen worked with yesterday. I like to say anything in the room is fair game. Be conscious of courtesy. But I think in prototyping, you just want to get your idea made and make it real.
Chill on the gold leaf if you find it.
Yeah, don't use gold leaf. Don't use anything that looks really expensive or don't break anything. Okay, ready? Ready? 10 minutes. Make it real.
Private space.
I do too, but there is lamps in the room, that you pull down or window shade. So not every, even if everybody had up in there would have been some coffee pots, there's a little bit of space in there. So even some we make like a cat with a strong underneath where you pull it down and then you come in and put it in there.
Okay, I know it's hard because you want your ideas to be perfect. But if you haven't noticed, one of the kind of values in our system, in our way of working, has to do with breaking that need down, right? So it's not always about being finished and perfect, it's actually always about learning. So I hope that you've created something enough that now you can present your idea to your user again. And again, in the spirit of getting feedback, although we're not going to keep evolving them, in the spirit of getting feedback and learning more, right? Not like presenting and showing off and convincing them that it's really valuable. It's always about this iteration of what can I learn from you? So you have 2 more minutes to show this to your user.
I'm sorry, oh, that's your chair.
Okay, so thank you. You may think that I'm mean and have cut you off continuously. I actually gave you 4 minutes for that one, even though I said 2. Okay, so I know it's also really unsatisfying to create stuff and not share it with the group, but we're not going to go through them now. You'll have the break time, so you can share your stuff. And I'm also going to ask that in the break, after you share your ideas with each other, that you kind of dismantle them and put things back where you took them from, okay? So I'd like to hear from some of the users. How was that for you guys to be designed for, or be the design inspiration? Caroline?
It's a little freaky.
It's freaky, why?
Well, I feel like I think we went through the ways, and I think the hard part in getting information to me, and I totally recognize this, was actually in working on defining what the problem was.
Yeah. That is the hardest step, actually.
Again, please.
Yeah. Defining the problem.
Defining the problem. Like, for example, and I was amorphous because I was just chatting about my morning. So to kind of extrapolate from my anecdotal evidence about getting. And I'm one of those people who likes to get up before my alarm but doesn't want to get up too early. And so they came up with this great invention to feed my cat so he doesn't wake me up at 5:30.
Nice.
But that still doesn't help me wake up naturally and not be woken up at 7 by an alarm.
So one of the things that I hear in here is that there's not one answer for everything in the morning, right? And I actually chose a challenge that wasn't a product on purpose, right? Because I knew that if we got to a product that we would, if it was just one answer, like it would be that kind of same space we're always working, where it's about that kind of gratification. So what I hear as a user is, yes, cool, that meets one of the needs, but I actually have more. Great. What else?
I thought it was, in order to give them the information I needed, I had to reveal a lot of personal information to people I just met yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's things like my relationship with my husband, my love for cats, which is apparently embarrassing right now. So in order to really have them solve what I need, I have to give out more than I would have actually more personal information.
Yeah, when you're designing for people, it's very personal, and we have to actually build a lot of protocols in our process to take care of people, right? There's a lot of confidentiality built in. We have a lot of legal agreements with people when we interview them, and you do get very personal. There's certain methods that we have that actually get to really personal information really quickly on purpose, right? So that we can learn that inner world, right? So that's cool. You got there in 5 minutes, group. Good job. What else? Yeah, Jeff.
I found that they did a good job, but that when they were solving one problem, that they may have been causing others, like my coffee time and my newspaper reading time, they know is really important. And so they said, instead of making drip coffee, use an electric coffee maker that just makes 1 cup. Because I only need 1 cup and nobody else in the household drinks coffee. And I was like, I understand how that does solve some of my problems, but now I'm using more electricity, which I'm trying not to do, so I don't really want to do that.
So this is a great awareness, and design team, I hope that you hear this as positive feedback, right? Because this is again one of those orientations where you have to shift away from like, oh, she didn't like my idea, to, ooh, like that's really good information, right? Because if you designed, built, produced, sold those things, right, it wouldn't do as well in the market. Remember, fail early to succeed sooner? We use that word fail on purpose, right, to kind of trigger that thing that makes us go like this when you hear the word fail, right? But really, this is great insight into your draft solution, right? And just think 10 minutes, right? It was 10 minutes to get to that point. You got even more depth now about knowing how to design for this system of the morning rituals.
Well, then it was 2 minutes, or maybe 1, until they said, oh, okay, I just heard you also say you don't get exercise, you actually want to go upstairs to your daughter's room. And I heard you say you don't want to use electricity, so we will hook up this gizmo to a treadmill, so you're generating the electricity for this.
So you built on the idea immediately in the conversation. Yeah, that's cool. See? Great. Now these system challenges, especially remember I said this is like the first time I'm doing this in 45 minutes. Even just like a product challenge in 45 minutes is really, so the notion of choosing a systems challenge, I think this is cool. Anybody else, one more? Barbara, I'm looking at you. Or you, Susan, you've got your...
I really want what my group created.
Can you tell us why?
Yes, well, I liked, they noticed a lot of different issues that I have in the morning, so they created something to solve multiple issues for me in sort of one object, I guess, and it would really help me out. And also for me to talk about my morning helped me realize what my problem was in the morning, which was helpful.
Right? People design stuff for us all the time that tell us about ourselves, right?
It's actually a therapy session.
Awesome. Well, we aim to please here at the Cooper Hewitt / Walker. Is it unsatisfying if I wind the conversation down? Because are you guys okay if we talk about what we talked about? Okay. So I want to hear about this group's experience. Do you mind sharing? No. So they didn't create a prototype. Now, I'm drawing attention not because I think this is wrong or anything, but because I think this is actually a way that we can all learn, right? And I really relate this a lot to what happens in schools, is that we're conditioned to a certain type of thinking, which is very analytical and very rational and very existing conditions based, right? There's a problem solution, right? And this group struggled because some of the solutions that they came up with, when they got feedback from their user wasn't that excited about them, right? And so then they felt like, okay, well, we don't have anything to make, right? Now, one of the things we talked about was that's okay, right? And do you want to talk about what the challenge that you heard was, right? So the need that you heard was about?
That she needed to alleviate the congestion in the morning. She has 3 subway transfers.
Yeah.
And
so congestion in the subways is a really big limiter in the morning, right? And so you guys came up with?
Well, the first idea was a folding bike or an electric bike where she could skip
the subways.
One transfer. And she didn't really like that because she'd have to, embarrass you now, personal information, fold it up, and what if it's really hot and she got all sweaty, she'd have to change her clothes.
Right. Now this is very valid feedback, right?
Yeah, doesn't want to do that. And then what about in the wintertime? And that's also doing a lot.
So I'm really glad you guys didn't go into production and create a marketing campaign about the folding bike that was going to alleviate subway congestion, right? I'm really glad.
That's okay. You can go ahead and redesign the subway system or the subway car.
Did anybody think of that? So they created an answer, a product for her that they thought could alleviate. That was for her. But they didn't necessarily look at the system, right? And this is one of the things where it's sort of like, oh, well, that's just the way it is, or that's bigger than me, right? But I'm going to say no, that the subway is only that way because it's been designed to be that way, right? So what are some of the ideas you came up with after we had that chat?
Well, then we thought of the analogy to the Disney World and what the congestion is like with everyone with their tickets and going through the stalls. And what if regular commuters had a fast pass and they had a lane just for them? And she said that would work great on the weekends because then there are tourists and regular commuters could use their fast pass. But during the regular work week, we're all from Brooklyn, and then we're all going to work. And so then she talked about with the commute that there's a lady with a microphone who yells at them. There's a crowd of 100 people, and she says, "Move in the middle of the train," and then she says, "Move off the train, get off the train," and she said it makes us angry, and it's not efficient, and there's no common courtesy. She said if you could build a better environment, that would be great.
Okay, so I'm going to pause you here. Let's just play for a minute, right? What's some way we can bust the system? We can create something new. Let's brainstorm. Fire the microphone later. Okay, I want some wild ideas out of this group. I want you to imagine outside of what currently exists.
Talking about the getting in, the big congestion, or talking about the noise? Or
it's all of it, right? This is still a really big challenge,
You
right?
try them at tubes where you just shoot to where you want to go.
Tubes where you shoot people, great.
It has changed American society so it's less individualistic and you see the whole and all travel.
Everybody hugs on the subway.
Positive affirmations.
I was just in Chicago last weekend and they have these like automated.
I don't want to hear anything exists.
No.
I want to hear wild ideas.
Moving sidewalks instead of...
Moving sidewalks instead of, right.
subways.
Yeah.
Making the subway an experience that you want to go.
Yeah,
a
designing
table
the
to
experience.
sit at.
How about if the cars, the whole side of the car just opens up instead of just doors, right? So you just get on it, right?
You can't move around on the train because
Lose the seats.
people won't move their legs. B, I have to find a seat.
Cut off everybody's legs.
Just stand. Just make everyone stand unless
Everybody
they brought
rides the
their own chair.
subways, legs cut off.
Well, so that clothing thing where you just sort of wear a jacket that gives you a comfortable way to stand on the train.
I want to hear one more wild idea, something that doesn't already exist.
Want the gym on the train.
A gym on the train.
So on the way home, I can go to the gym.
Double layer trains. Okay, those exist. I'll let you go through. It's a nice idea. Okay, so it's hard to stop brainstorming, but I'm going to cut it off because I want to emphasize this point of that these big systems challenges often are really mired with constraints, and we will never get outside of them unless we feel we have the permission to be outside of them, right? And so that's what this is all about. Woo! Nice job. First of all, round of applause for all of you.